Hello and welcome back to the shop, guys. Today we're going to cover a subject that I get a lot of questions about, a lot of video requests for, and that is how in the world do you maintain your front differential on the Ford F-150, Expedition, and Explorer. You probably noticed by now they all share a similar trait, and that is they are buried up in the frame and right against the steering gear right here, so you cannot pull the front cover to get in there and drain it and wipe it out. So what do? Well, there is a method you can use to drain and fill out the fill plug in the side and just maintain it every 60,000 miles, and that's more than enough to keep this differential maintained. You have to remember this differential basically just sits there 90% of the time. Newer vehicles disconnected the hubs and the transfer case, so it's just sitting here not even spinning passively. Okay, the rear end is the one that's doing all the work all the time. It's a very simple method. I perfected it over the years, so let's get to it. Now, the way that I recommend draining and filling this is with the vehicle on level ground, not jacked up. 4x4 models, you can easily fit underneath here and get to work. Plenty of light, and we can get to it. Now, on most of the models, the fill plug is right here, whereas on like the Sport Tracks and some Explorers, the older ones, it's in the front cover over here on the other side there where it's flat. So either way, the method is the same. So the first thing we're going to do, make sure you have a drain pan down below because it may be overfilled from the last person. We're going to get in here with a 3/8 ratchet, and we're just going to break torque on this and start spinning it out. Get this sucker out of here, and we can start the process. Now, once it comes out so far like this, you can get up in here and it should spin out free, just like this. Let's see if mine is filled enough. Now, once your drain plug is out, let's go ahead and clean it off. They're usually magnetic, and there'll be a lot of accumulation on them, so go ahead and clean them off. Put it to the side so it's ready for installation, and then we can go ahead and start the draining process. All right, now this is the brake bleeder that I use to suck all that old fluid out of there. It's a little bit stronger. It's about $80, $90, but there also is a cheaper version that's around $20 that I'll link to down below. It does the same job, just may take a little bit longer. So what you're going to do is use the supplied clear silicone hose and then attach a section of the vinyl tubing on the end of it here. It's like 6-8 inches long. So it's a little more rigid and it's smaller. It's about an 1/8 inch size hose, and that's going to allow us to get past the ring gear in there down to the reservoir and suck it out in there. What we're going to do is we're just going to turn this thing on, get it in there, let it have time to suck everything out, but we're also going to move it around in there, twist it around a little bit, and try to get those little pockets of the differential and suck out as much fluid as we can. Now, the secret to getting past the ring gear inside of here is to come up and over from the back here. We're going to sneak it in. We're going to stay close to the case here, and we're just going to kind of wiggle it around and get it down and past there. You may run into a situation where one of the bolts for the ring gear are like right lined up with this, so you simply just spin one of the wheels and you'll be able to get past it then. Something like this. And you want to make sure you get 6-8 inches down in there, so take your time. Like, see, now we can get down in there 6-8 inches, and we can get down to the sump here. We can suck it all out. At that point, once it's in there, we can go ahead and turn it on and let it rip. Now, it's a thicker fluid. It's 80-90. So it's going to take a while to suck it all out of here. Now, real quick, let's address this fluid that's coming out of here. You see, the fluid has like a milky appearance to it. Now, generally that means there's been water that got into the differential at some point in time, mixed with the oil, and of course, then it becomes milky like this. It's not always a reason to freak out and think the inside bearings are trashed inside of there, because this does have a vent on it, so it does have the ability to have moisture drawn into it over time, especially as it cools. It'll draw air into it. through the vent, and it can draw moisture in there and then mix up. Also, there is a marking compound from the factory that they put on the gears. It's white in color, so it may turn it a gray or light color like this right here. You can see once you smear it away, the gear oil is back. So it's a real slight amount of water that's in this one. No big deal. Don't freak out and worry about it too much. All right, so once you've gotten all the fluid out you think you can get out of there, get your hose back out of there, and then we can start the filling process. I like to clean the threads real quick. Get nice and clean like that. Make sure there's no dirt or muck around it, and we can get started with the fill process. Now the fluid you want to use is the Motorcraft 80W90 on all these front differentials. No friction modifier is required. Now the newest vehicles take 75W85. It's not that big of a difference. It's all about fuel economy, not protection. So I'd stick with 8090 even in the newer vehicles. Now the pump that I recommend to fill this back up is this one right here. It's made for quart size bottles. Fits in there perfect and fills it, no mess, no fuss. It's a lot cleaner than a suction gun. So once you get the fluid and it's screwed onto there, you can simply stick it into here far enough to start filling it up. Make sure you're not hitting one of the bolts on the ring gear and it's just gonna splash back out of there. You don't wanna do that. You wanna get it down in here far enough to fill the differential. Now with 8090, it's gonna take a little bit to get this thing filled. It's gonna take quite a few pumps. Okay, it's thicker fluid and it's just gonna take a while. So go ahead and start filling that up until it starts flowing out. Pump, pump, pump. There we go, some better light for you. Pump, pump, pump. We'll get this thing filled. There we go. It's starting to come out. At that point, you are filled. Pull this out, and we'll let it kind of self-level inside of there. There it is. Beautiful new fluid coming out of there. Now, once it's kind of leveled out on there, we'll go ahead and clean the threads once more. And then we'll take our cleaned plug with some Permatex thread sealant on there, on the threads, all the way around. And then we're gonna go ahead and just snug it up by hand. We'll thread it in by hand so you don't crack the case or cross thread it or anything like that. And we can go ahead and snug it up. Now the torque spec on this fill plug is 18 foot-pounds. Now if you don't have a torque wrench, what you can do is take a standard size 3/8 and grab it up closer to the head and then just snug it down by hand. Remember, it's just a fill plug and that's it. That's all there is to it. So a little snugging is all it needs. Go ahead and clean this off. All the excess fluid. And then I always spray it down afterwards with a little brake clean. Wipe it down, make sure it's nice and dry in the end. All right, that's all there is to it. It's a very simple process every 60,000 miles, and this will be maintained more than enough. The hardest part of it is waiting for that thing, the brake bleeder, to suck all the fluid out, but you want to give it time to make it all happen, have a good fluid exchange. See you guys next time.